Today we're launching a brand new series called How to Get Started with Cord Cutting. We find a lot of new subscribers and readers are always asking us, what do we need to do to get started with cord cutting? We hope this series helps you. We're going to dive into individual topics from home internet to streaming players and different services you should try out to help you be prepared, because being prepared for cord cutting will help you avoid some mistakes a lot of people make and help you make cord cutting as cheap as possible with just a tiny bit of research before you go and call your pay TV provider and cancel. So we're going to be offering videos on different topics from home internet to streaming players and more, where you can watch all of them from beginning to end for a complete guide, or just jump forward to a topic that you're particularly interested in learning more about. If you have a topic you want us to cover, leave us a comment. We'll love to hear from you. Maybe we'll add it to our list of videos in this series. First off, though, I wanted to jump into getting started with cord cutting. A little bit of research, I can't stress this enough, will save you a lot of headaches and make sure you have a smooth transition from your current TV provider to a streaming service. So let's dive in here, take a look at what kind of research you should do before you even call and cancel your cable TV. Right off the bat, though, let's start off with, what is cord cutting? I get this question all the time. What is cord cutting? Why should I do it? Well, very simple. Cord cutting is the idea of canceling your current TV provider, whether that be a cable or a satellite company, but still watching the content you want through legal services streaming online with an antenna. Heck, maybe your public library, DVDs. There's all kinds of ways to watch content that doesn't require a 2-year contract. And we're going to help you make sure you can still watch what you want without having to have that 2-year contract. So why do people cut the cord? What makes people become cord cutters? Well, number one is saving money. When my daughter was born, my wife and I looked at the bills and we're like, man, we got student loans, car payments, and now a kid. What are we going to do here? And we looked, okay, we're going to cut back on eating out, we're going to cut back on this, we're going to cut back on that. And we kept coming back to $110 a month for DirecTV. And that wasn't even the internet. That was just the TV side of it. So very quickly we realized, okay, it's time. Let's cancel it. We already watched a ton of Netflix and Amazon. We could add Hulu and still save a ton of money. But there are other reasons to cut the cord. No long-term contracts. I hear this all the time from people with vacation homes. Hey, I have a home out on a lake or something. I don't want it year-round, or maybe I travel a lot for work and there's months where I know I'm not going to be home. I hate paying for it when I'm not home. So no long-term contracts are a great part of that. No credit checks. Hey, we've all been there. We've all struggled at points in our life, and maybe, Comcast and other places won't give it to you or charge you extra because your credit's not that great. With cord cutting, hey, you don't have to worry about that. The other one is no rental equipment. So a lot of those hidden fees and device rentals aren't here with cord cutting. The price you see is the price you pay with cord cutting. Yes, there are some taxes, but there's taxes on streaming services too. All those hidden fees, though, all those HD technology fees, regional sports fees, broadcast TV fees, you won't find those with cord cutting. And lastly, there's a ton more options with cord cutting than there is with traditional pay TV. House of Cards, Orange is the New Blacks, The Handmaid's Tale, the new Jack Ryan show are all great shows you can't watch on cable TV. You need a streaming service to watch them. So how much can you save with cord cutting? According to the Wall Street Journal, the average cord cutter saves $104 a month. Over 10 years, that will work out to over $1,200 every year. And over 10 years, you'll save $12,000, $480. That's just a crazy amount of money. That's a great payment towards a new vehicle, helping start a down payment on a house even. Whatever you want to use it for, or hey, that's $12,000 off your student loans, that's $12,000 off credit cards, whatever you're trying to pay off. That's a good chunk of money going towards something else out there. But okay, so we know we can save money, we know we want to do this, but how do we get started? Let's dive into what you need to do before you cut the cord. Number one, go slowly. I can't stress this enough. Most people make mistakes with cord cutting that infuriates them right out of the beginning because they didn't do their research. They don't know what they want to do. They know they want to watch this. They go cancel, and then they try to figure out how to watch what they want to watch. So make sure you do your research before you cancel the cord. That way the transition from being a cable TV or a satellite subscriber to a cord cutter can be smooth and easy, and you won't miss anything. And again, go slowly, go slowly, go slowly. It really doesn't take a lot of time to do a little bit of research before you call and cancel, and it's going to save you a ton of money by not having to make a rush decision. If you go and cancel today and then try to figure out, oh, what kind of antenna do I need to watch Fox so I don't miss my show on Sunday? If you did that research before, you may be able to find a cheaper deal on that antenna than running out to the local big box store and buying it at whatever price it is. Maybe it's cheaper online. Maybe that antenna you just walked in the store is the wrong one for you. And that's what I really hope this series will help you avoid by teaching you what to do before you cut the cord. So let's jump into it. What to consider. What research should you do before you cancel the cable TV bill? Number one, I would encourage you to look at what shows, sports, and news services do you want. Are you a huge news fan, or could you care less about news? There are some streaming services like Philo that has a ton of show networks like AMC and Discovery content, but it doesn't offer really a ton of news options. It doesn't really offer sports options. So if sports and news are not what you need, maybe that's the right one for you. Maybe you do need sports. Maybe sports is the number one reason. And then you can do your research. Which service offers the sports you want? I always tell people, make a list of only the shows you absolutely must have and write them down. And then let's do some research. Where can we watch these before you cut the cord? And that will really help you save a ton of money. So write down the first thing you ever do with cord cutting. Get a legal pad, a notepad, whatever, your laptop, and say, here's the 10 shows I really want. I want to watch my college football, I want to watch the evening news, and I want to watch The Walking Dead, for example. Okay, now that you know that those are what are the most important things to you that you can't live without of, let's figure out how to watch those. So number two, you may want to consider an antenna. Now, antennas are 100% free, and if you're thinking about your grandpa's antenna, they're a lot different nowadays. According to the CEO of Tableau DVRs, and a DVR made for antennas, the average user of their DVR gets about 30 over-the-air TV stations. Long gone are the days of maybe 2 or 3 over-the-air stations. Now there's tons. Of course, the big ones, ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC are there for most Americans. Over 90% of Americans will receive those. You'll also find things like the CW, INTV, a lot of the shopping networks that people love, and a lot of other networks like MeTV, Antenna TV, Stadium for Sports, and more. All these great networks are offering high quality programming for free over the air. And I find a lot of what people want are included in there. ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS, all free. You can connect a DVR to it, and now you can record it, watch it when you want. But you'd be amazed how much of what you want is already available with an antenna for free, and it's a one-time cost. Once you buy it, you own it. So do your research on antenna. There are websites. I put a link to antennaweb.org down below. There you can enter in your address and see what stations are available where you live. It will also help you decide, do I need an indoor antenna? Do I need an outdoor antenna? And that'll help you avoid the mistake of, hey, I bought an indoor antenna for $60, and it turns out I live right on the edge of Fox, where an outdoor antenna would have taken care of that. The other option is like Sling TV will, even if you're not a subscriber, send a dish tech to your home, install an outdoor antenna, sell you the antenna, and install it for $150. I'll put a phone number down below and a post about that too if you want to learn more about antennas. Maybe get somebody to do it to you, because I get it. I have a 2-story home, and I am just at the point in my life where I don't really want to risk life and limb to climb on my big 2-story roof. And for $150 to buy the antenna and have it installed, that's not a bad deal for me. So I'll put that down below and the antenna web to help you make a decision on if an antenna is right for you. Next up, we have internet options. So we've looked at the free options. Okay, does an antenna give us what we want? Yes. But are there other things we still want? Okay. We're probably going to need internet to go get Sling TV or DirecTV Now or Hulu or all these other services like Netflix. Now, the good news is there are options rolling out. Historically, there's always been just DSL and cable, and you may be able to bounce back and forth. I'll talk about that in a moment. But now we have 5G and fixed wireless rolling out, bringing real competition. If you live in Houston, Sacramento, and more, 5G internet is something to keep an eye on. Verizon's $50 if you're a Verizon customer, $70 if you're not, with no data cap is a great option. But this really goes down to the idea of do your research. As these services roll out through 2019 and 2020, keep an eye on what internet providers are. But what happens if you're stuck with just DSL and cable? My number one recommendation is to shop around. Know what the competitor to the service you have now is offering. Because the worst thing about cable companies and DSL companies is you could be the perfect customer, never miss a bill, never miss a payment, and they'll still charge you twice as much as a new customer. But I find if I do my research, if I have cable, for example, and I call the DSL provider, what speeds are you offering? What price are you doing that for? That helps me negotiate down. And don't discount DSL. Yes, I know in some rural areas DSL is awful, but for most Americans, you'd be amazed at DSL's quality now. In my neighborhood, they actually offer a gigabyte fiber option even from the DSL phone company. So know what prices they're offering. And then I go back to my cable company, for example, and say, hey, your competitor in my market's offering me this price for this speed. If you can't beat that, I'm going to switch over there. More often than not, I find when you already know what the competitors are doing, then they'll be willing to negotiate. And if they're not, maybe when you cancel your TV with them, you cancel your internet too, and you go to the competitor. Every couple years, I switch back and forth because that gets me the new customer pricing and the best rate. So do your research. Know, is there a 5G, a fiber, or a fixed wireless option where you live? If not now, there probably will be in the next year or two. If not, hey, at least know what the competitors are offering. I do get it that there are some people or some places where there's only one option, or DSL is just not an option because it's so bad and you live out in a rural area where it's just not an option. I get that. But for most people, there are options, and putting them fighting against each other is the best way to do it. So keep that in mind. All right, so we covered antenna, we covered internet. So now you have internet. What streaming services do you want? Now this goes back to having that list. One of the worst things you can do with streaming is just to subscribe to everything all the time. Look at that list. Say, hey, wait a minute. I want the final season of Game of Thrones is coming out next year. But do I really want HBO all the time? Other than the Game of Thrones season, would I be fine not having HBO this month because the show is not out right now? That's the great thing about cord cutting. No contracts. I can subscribe to HBO now, watch Game of Thrones, and when that is over, cancel it. I do this with Silicon Valley from HBO. Love that show. I only subscribe during the time when Silicon Valley's on. And when that's happening, I binge watch everything on Silicon Valley or on HBO. And then I cancel it when Silicon Valley ends. And you may be doing the same thing. Hey, maybe football is the only thing you want live TV for. Maybe you get Hulu or DirecTV or Sling TV or all these other services that offer the games you want only during football season, and you cancel it. So do your research on these services, and don't be afraid to jump around between them. For example, I know a lot of cord cutters will keep like Netflix and Hulu. They probably already had Netflix before they cut the cord. And then they'll say, hey, this month we'll get Stars and we'll just binge watch everything on Stars. Next month maybe we'll get Showtime because Homeland or whatever they are offering is available then. And maybe I'll cancel because it's December and we'll be traveling and not watching it anyway. So I'll just cancel it that month. And in January I go get Showtime or HBO Now or whatever service you want. So do your research and don't be afraid to say, hey, we'll do this for a little while, we'll do that for a little while to keep your costs down. Don't get dragged into the idea that if I subscribe to something, I have to have it all year. Also look into free services. There are a lot of free ones out there like Tubi, Crackle, the Roku channel, and more that offer ad-supported streaming of content out there. And so really do your research. The other thing to remember here is, let's say you get Netflix, or you get a Roku or a Fire TV, and now you're saying, hey, look at this. There's an ABC or a TNT app on this. Now, often they will include free content there, but not everything in that will be free. But like with ABC, you say, hey, I have the ABC app. Look at all this content here. Well, often a lot of that same content from the ABC app is in Hulu already. So even though you may not have a cable Comcast subscription or a DirecTV Now for streaming or YouTube and more to access the ABC app's locked content, You may want to say, well, I'm already paying for Hulu and most of that content's there. Or, hey, I wanted back catalogs of this network show, and wow, look at that. Netflix has back catalog episodes of that show. So keep that all in mind. Do your research and make sure you know what everything has before you cut the cord. That way, when you decide that, hey, we're cutting the cord and I still want to watch the big game this weekend, you know what service to do that, whether that be an antenna or a streaming service, and you're all set. So before you ever cut the cord, do these 4 things. Write down what you want. See if it's available with an antenna. I always recommend antenna if you can, because it's free and you own it and it's there and you don't have to worry about the internet working or anything like that. Next up, take a look at your internet options. And this is one you want to research before you call, because we had a Spectrum phone agent once give us a little interview, and he was very clear that when people call to cancel the cord to become cord cutters, they're told to try to talk them into the very fastest, highest package. So don't let them talk you into the fastest. Slower packages will work fine, and you can always upgrade later. They'll always take money from you later. And lastly, do your research on which streaming service you want. Know what they offer. And the best part is they offer free trials, so take advantage of the free trials one at a time. Don't do them all at once, because then it can be hard to, make sure you didn't. Which one had that? Which one had this? So do them one at a time and decide what's right for you before you ever cancel the cord, and with cable or satellite. So there you go. Those are the steps to get started. Those are what I think people should look at before they ever cancel the cable bill. Now, I'm going to dive more in depth in all these topics and give you a ton of information on them. But this is what I want you to do before you ever consider canceling cable. Because maybe you will find, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't right for us. Maybe it doesn't all work out the way we want it to. I think for 98% of Americans, cord cutting is going to give you what you want and save you money. But don't jump into it. If you need more help while making more of these videos, or as you're watching this, we have a few resources out there. First of all, we have a Facebook group that does nothing but answer cord cutting related questions. Just search in Facebook for cord cutting tech support. It's cord cutting tech support. There's a group with over 45,000 subscribers there that do nothing but answer your cord cutting related questions. The other thing is cordcuttersnews.com. We have a news site, and we post daily news stories all about the world of cord cutting, reviews, how-to tips, and guides on cutting the cord and breaking free from high cable TV bills. Check out both. If you have a question and you use Facebook, check that out. If you have a question you don't, leave us a comment here on YouTube. We'll try to answer them as best we can. But there's so many people over at Cord Cutting Tech Support on Facebook. They'll be happy to help you too. So until our next video, thank you for watching. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe. That helps us a lot. It helps us spread the word of cord cutting. And check back for more in this series of videos on how to get started with cord cutting to avoid many of the popular mistakes that cost you money, and hopefully help you save time and get to cord cutting even faster. So thank you for watching, and thank you for your support. I really appreciate it.